Alright, today we're doing no messing around, we're just gonna play the game. There's been too much weird stuff recently, so no Nindeviled, no Trotsky, no guests, no Nindeviled Days cartridges, no coloring books, no props, no gimmicks, no SNESville. We're not even gonna do a song or a title card. You want a title card? Here, Nindeviled Eggs number 25. I got the controller, let's play the game.
First you draw a circle, then you draw the eyes, add a great big circle, and presto, it's Kirby!
Kirby. What even is he? Or she? Or it? By now, everyone is pretty familiar with Kirby in some way, but for a lot of us kids, our introduction to Kirby was with Super Smash Bros. For me, this is because I never owned or played the NES, Game Boy, or Super NES games for Kirby. And I never owned a Game Boy because I opted for the Game Gear. Boy, was that a mistake. But when I got my hands on Super Smash Bros., Kirby became my main player. And later, Kirby would become an author. Nah, just kidding. But again, what even is Kirby? He's like 50% Furby, 50% Flubber, 50% Fergalicious, and 50% Gak. That's 200% because he can absorb other powers and use them to his advantage. He's like a cute Shang Tsung.
If Kirby absorbed you, what ability would he get?
Student loans.
Catamaran rental.
Hardcore procrastination.
Reverse mortgage calculator.
Analysis paralysis.
Fermentation!
Pasta counter.
Kirby's first appearance was Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy. Maybe we will have to make Trotsky play that one at some point. But then we got Kirby's Adventure for the NES, his only official appearance on the NES, and also the introduction of his power-absorbing move known as Inhale. Before gameplay, the game will automatically give you the basics on playing as Kirby, most notably to inhale enemies to absorb their powers. During this intro section, you're able to preview several of the cool abilities you'll be able to acquire during the game. However, this intro section does not show you all of them. I like that, as plenty of mystery is still left as to what powers are out there in the game. If you allow this intro to play long enough, you get to the backstory, and it is a true crisis. The inhabitants of Dreamland cannot dream anymore. Something about the Star Rod and King DDD. You know, I'm not very up-to-date on my Kirby lore, but when I hear King DDD, I immediately think of Carlos Mencia. Anyway, DDD broke the rod into pieces and gave the pieces to his friends. Lame, bro. Let's start the game. You get 3 save files, which is pretty nice. The first level is called Vegetable Valley.
Cooking up a recipe, cooking times for you and me.
You are then brought into an open area with a door labeled number 1, indicating the first stage. Go through the door, and we are brought into a very basic platforming stage with enemies whose powers can be absorbed. The controls are very simple: jump and absorb. Once you absorb an enemy, that button is now the attack. Before we exit the area, I grab this fire ability because, well, fire! Then through this door silhouette thing and we are brought into the next area, but it's still the same stage. I like how the stage is broken up into these little segments. Eventually we find a Maxim tomato, which you should recognize from Smash Bros. I wonder if Maxim from the Prodigy would approve. The final silhouette exit of the stage has stars along its border. Once we go through, you can test your reaction and timing to launch Kirby as high as possible. I like this Kirby dance. Then we are brought back to the main area for Vegetable Valley, and more of the area opens up, including the second stage. Before going on to the next stage, let's check out this other door. It's a claw-like mini-game. Just drop the claw to get some extra Kirbys.
You know, I really like how there's the addition of these little bonus areas on the overworld map. It kind of like Super Mario Bros. 3 in a way.
In the next stage, we have more of the same. I grab a special cutter ability from one of the enemies to use on a mini-boss, however getting damaged with this ability causes you to lose it. The fight isn't as easy this way, but it's certainly not difficult. Once the mini-boss is beat, you can absorb his power, which is this crazy screen-clearing attack. The game will also give you a gentle reminder that you are low on energy when you switch areas. It's nowhere near the level of annoyance, irritation, and anxiety one would get from having low energy in something like Zelda. There's also a hidden bonus area off to the side of this one part of the stage.
These first 2 stages have done an excellent job of introducing you to the game mechanics without forcing you through some irritating tutorial or just holding your hand. And the reason I haven't eaten the tomato yet is it's technically a fruit, so...
In Stage 3, you can absorb a fire-launching power. I love this thing. You can fly across the screen and take out enemies, and when you go underwater, it shoots a little jet of steam, but I think this is unrelated to the fire ability, I think. In the next stage, you get a mini-boss, and you can spam him with the fire ability. He has an ice power, and I'm sure if I absorbed it, I'd be able to freeze enemies or something. A little bit later, you can absorb a guy who lets you poke out needles to injure your foes. Last in this land is the boss stage. The boss is this tree guy who appears to be alive. You might remember him from the Kirby stage in Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64, but who ever heard of a tree being a boss? Anyway, if you still have the needle ability, you can take him out super quick. Otherwise, you'd have to suck up the fruit as it drops and shoot it at him. Then grab the star rod, which clears the level. And next up is Ice Cream Island.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Yeah!
Cooking up a recipe, cooking times for you and me.
Since this place is technically an island, well, Kirby's an island boy in the first stage, looking really tropical, and that's okay. Things falling from the trees, just gotta dodge them. You can get the parasol, like in Super Smash Bros. And also we can find the tornado, shooting the bombs, the wall is falling down. Hop onto this star to fly away. It's now a desert place, so we can't be island boys. Using this sword power, we can fight the wheel boss guy pretty effectively. When we absorb his power, we can then roll right through the rest of the level. This wheel power is pretty sweet, which makes sense. There's a band who goes by the name Wheel, and they are very underrated as far as progressive rock with interesting time signatures go. If you like Tool, then you'll like Wheel. Be sure to also check out this weird minigame where you try to eat eggs and not bombs. In the next stage, we get a sub-boss battle with these Meta Knight guys. If you don't have an ability when you get here, just run around inhaling them. Watch out for the guy who throws forks. I guess he doesn't want a spoon. It's hilarious to see Kirby running around inhaling all the bad guys. I mean, imagine if he was attacked on the street by a gang and the police were called. When they show up, there would be just Kirby with no bad guys around. The police would be like, hey, where'd they go? The next stage starts off up in the clouds, which reminds me of one of the cloud areas from Super Mario Bros. 2. Later, we can absorb a stone power-up, which is of course brought into Super Smash Bros. I like to smash the mini-boss guy with it. It's so fun. And when you absorb the mini-boss's power-up, it's a mic ability that eliminates some of the enemies on the screen.
Yeah, I know I said no nonsense, but I like this shirt. And what would Kirby be propagandizing such that it would clear enemies from the screen?
After clearing the stage, we check out these two bonus areas. One of them gives you a choice between two power-ups, and the other one allows you to battle a guy one-on-one. I employ my Dr. Evil abilities and laser him. Later we get to use the high jump ability, which allows you to jump high. But it's still cool. I mean, I've completely lost track of how many different abilities we have seen so far. Next, we battle the Ice Cream Valley boss, who moonlights as a painting with a twist host. I choose to battle with the laser, which is not particularly effective, so just dodge whatever projectiles the boss draws. You know, if he's got this ability, why wouldn't the boss draw a dinosaur or a bazooka or something like massively destructive? Once the boss is beat, we grab the Star Rod piece, 3 Kirby's Dance, which hasn't been explained, and we are off to butter building.
Well, you know what that means.
Well, in the first level, we find a building that is very yellow. Is it made out of butter? Perhaps Kirby should be careful spitting fire around a meltable building. And I think it's cool how within this first level, there's a path that allows you to open up more of the main world.
You know what else is kind of cool? A waterproof sewing machine, I think. I don't feel very good.
The next level has some cool new stuff. First off, the stage begins to ascend vertically, which I always think is a great way to mix things up. Next, there's this part where it looks like Kirby is running around the building, or maybe he's turning the building as he runs. Either way, it's impressive for NES graphics and hardware. Later, if you get the wheel power-up, you can blast through this one section. I love when designers do stuff like this on purpose to reward exploration and experimentation. It's just so much fun. And finally, there's a mini-boss who can body slam you, but if you take his power, you can body slam enemies. This would later become a very common move in Super Smash Bros. Then there's a bonus challenge room that's kinda different. It has a hat symbol. The idea is to draw before the other guy does. Further ahead, there's a mini-boss who uses a hammer. Defeat him, and naturally, you can absorb the hammer power and use it on enemies. This hammer would make its way into Super Smash Bros. There's also another hidden green switch which will open up an area with a bonus game. Once you get out of the level, you'll discover it's another one of the egg-eating challenges, which ends with Kirby vomiting out more baby chicks.
I'm not trying any of that.
So it's time to take on the boss, which is a tag team of a moon and sun. I foolishly enter the fight without a power-up, however the enemies will shoot stars, and you have the choice to shoot them back, or, better yet, absorb one and get the cutter ability. This boss fight is my favorite so far. You have to contend with the element on the ground as well as the one in the air, since it will shoot at you, and also move toward you when Kirby is in the air. Once they are both beat, they combine into an explosion which probably started the universe we know and love. And then, we are off to Grape Garden.
Okay, this one is easy. What do we got in here? We got some milk, orange, all purple, yes!
Within the first stage of Grape Garden, you can turn Kirby into a UFO. Somebody should let all the conspiracy theorists know. The UFO allows you to shoot a short-range attack, or you can shoot a laser. There's also another plunger thing to open an area of the main screen with a bonus stage. A short while later, we have a fight with these two bomb tosser guys. You know, it appears they really don't have arms, so would that make them unarmed? I don't know, anyway. I spark them up and take them out in order to finish the level. After that, you can use a fire ability to light a fuse and... wait for it. Kirby gets launched by a cannon into the sky. Awesome. Follow it up with an airship section which gives me those Super Mario Bros. 3 vibes. And hey, there's also a hidden plunger switch thingy.
I love me some grape juice, and raisins are just dried grapes. Oh.
My favorite part of Grape Garden is this part where you absorb the wheel ability. Then, using that ability, you hairpin left and right. After you hit the bomb, Kirby is basically racing the detonation all the way to the bottom to get past where a wall will appear. This all precedes a mini-boss whose ability upon absorption is called Throw. And what does Throw do? It throws an enemy off stage like a discarded piece of garbage. I especially enjoy using this ability to throw these Meta Knight guys at each other. And what about this dark area, where if you absorb this one enemy, you can use the ability to bring light into the room, which reveals a doorway that was previously hidden. Or right here, where if you use the rock ability on the wooden stump platform thingies in the correct order, a 1-up is pushed up. A 1-up is pushed up. Yeah, that's really weird to say, but I am genuinely loving this.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. This game is fantastic. It is a shame that Kirby's Adventure for the NES is not as fondly remembered as other NES classics. The main issue, of course, being that by the time this game came out, most people had moved on to the Super Nintendo. But the Super Nintendo has plenty of games that lack the subtlety and variety of Kirby's Adventure. I mean, every playthrough is going to be kind of different. There's so much that's hidden. The levels are unique. The bosses are all pretty different. I mean, just check out this boss for Grape Garden.
Using the high jump ability, you have to outrace this eyeball thing that's chasing you. Once you get high enough, the actual fight begins, where you have to fight using the high jump ability to slam into the eyeball thing, which is now shrouded in something that looks like a cloud. You know, this is pretty unique. I don't think I've ever fought a boss this way. Once the boss is defeated, we move on to Yogurt Yard.
I don't really like eating yogurt, so I'm going to skip this one. But here's a video of how to paint Kirby on your hand. Seems like a reasonable swap out.
So right off the bat in Yogurt Yard, there's a hidden door down here with a 1-up, and if you absorb the rock power, you can reach terminal velocity with all the other morons who thought it would be cool to plummet toward the Earth. I suspect somebody's milkshake is bringing all the boys to the Yogurt Yard. There's also another bonus plungery secret location exposer thingy, and then if you go behind this hidden door in the waterfall, you can make your way to a different plunger opener-upper.
I forgot, I actually do like yogurt, but the thing is, Yogurt Yard isn't really all that exciting of a world. I guess there's not terrible, there's just nothing new. Not until this part.
I happen to swallow 2 enemies who normally give power-ups, and it says mix. If you then press down, you get a randomizer. This is a pretty sweet touch, but I'm only just now discovering it. I had hoped the boss would be able to redeem the mediocrity of Yogurtland, but unfortunately, this boss is my least favorite. I chase the boss while it destroys part of the surrounding area. Without the hammer, I'm unsure how I would even be able to attack him. I give the boss credit for being unique, but this experience falls just a little short. And isn't it fitting that in this nadir of enjoyment, I somehow defeat the boss while also losing a life? Anyway, I get the Star Rod after defeating the boss on my next attempt, which then brings us into Orange Ocean. Unfortunately, Orange Ocean suffers from the same issue as Yogurt Yard. There just isn't anything new worth mentioning. I want to be clear that the level design is fantastic and the game remains fun to play. The best way to describe it is to say the first handful of worlds adequately prepared you for these latter worlds. Once you make it this far, it's up to you to discover what power-ups you want and how much you wish to explore. There's no hand-holding here, folks. But there's not much more to say without going into a critically deep dive.
Uh-oh, I guess I better do something with that orange stuff.
Cooking up a recipe, cooking times for you and me.
I don't feel so good.
The boss battle for Orange Ocean is probably the highlight. It's the Meta Knight guy who has been harassing us throughout the entire game. Kirby has a traditional sword battle with him. When you get hit, you don't lose your sword ability like normal, which makes this boss battle kind of easy, all things considered. So just keep your distance, go in for the strike, back off, watch his jumps, and repeat. Once you take him down, we are off to Rainbow Resort.
What am I gonna eat for Rainbow Resort? The only thing that comes to mind is tasting the rainbow.
Right away, we start the first level of Rainbow Resort shooting laser beams against slanted walls, which allows us to hit out-of-range targets. This is pretty neat, and I guess I was wrong. There are still some new things late in this game worth mentioning. And then we enter a tower, where each successive level is a mini-boss fight. This definitely gives me some endgame vibes, but it's super cool. The mini-bosses aren't overbearingly tough, and you get to decide whether to absorb someone's power, stick with the one you have, or go in vanilla. This gauntlet is on the easier side, since if you lose a life, you resume at the same mini-boss instead of going back to the beginning. At the top of the tower is a warp star.
What do you want me to eat? What other rainbow stuff is there?
The last stage in Rainbow Resort is in black and white, and while this is not very rainbow-like, this feels like a throwback or a nod to the Game Boy Kirby, which was the start of the franchise. But it all leads up to this, the showdown with King Carlos DDD Mencia. And I have a mind to knock him out. You know, the parasol doesn't seem to be particularly effective against him. He has a variety of attacks that he will employ, the most problematic being the inhalation and exhalation, which Kirby cannot dodge if he gets too close. He also will charge at you or do this fly around thing. The best way to get your hits in are to absorb the stars, shoot them at him, then get some distance. He makes stars when he does the ground pound move or when he swings his hammer. I couldn't discern any particular pattern of attack, but he isn't exactly tough. His difficulty is on par with what I've come to expect for this game. So keep at him, and eventually you'll land the final attack. Nice! We have beaten the game. Kirby is then moving to the right. DDD is attempting to stop him for whatever reason. Once Kirby gets to the fountain thing, he returns the Star Rod, and now everything is perfect and awesome, and nothing bad could possibly happen. Or, a glowy death orb has arisen from the fountain and DDD launches Kirby off-screen after it. So they tricked me. The game is not over yet. Kirby's adventure is now a horizontal shoot-'em-up. Kirby is equipped with a Star Rod, and we have unlimited ammo to shoot stars at the orb thing. As to be expected, it shoots stuff at you, and you shoot stuff back. So dodge when you can, and get your hits in when you're able to do so. Once you deliver the final blow, Kirby will ride a star and crash land into the next phase of this boss fight. I don't even know how to describe this guy, nor is it clear right away how to land the attacks. I just spam the attack button when I can, and sometimes the enemy's power bar goes down. I think under his coat or cape is an area that is vulnerable to the star attack. I find this phase is actually easier than the last. Land the final attack and he does this, whatever you want to call that. And then we see a portion of the moon explode. That's going to wreak havoc on our ecosystem. Then Kirby is riding his star back, and the game explains that King DDD didn't mean any harm. People were having nightmares or something.
Oh, come on. Couldn't one of DDD's people have mentioned this before we got here?
The credits then begin to roll while showing the various boss fights Kirby endured along the way.
Wow. I am blown away by this game. It's a shame I didn't play it when I was younger. The abilities are fun and plentiful. The level design is interesting and varied. You're given choices whether you use strategy or brute force. There are bonus areas. The overworld map lets you move about. There's plenty of one-ups. The controls are solid. If there's only one complaint, it would be that the game might be a little bit too easy. But Kirby's Adventure is great. Even better than Bonk's Adventure. This game makes me feel good. Oh, I don't feel so good. I think I ate too much.
Dirt naps are good. Player one guy?
Well, I don't suppose you ate some napkins.
Toss the counter.